everyone, welcome to another video. So I decided to do a Q&A today, and I went on Twitter and Facebook and asked you guys to send me some questions. So I'm going to answer or attempt to answer some of them. Okay, so I'm just gonna go look at Twitter first. Alright, so the first question, will you do more gaming videos, and what are your thoughts on New Age movement? I will do more gaming videos. It's just a matter of I'm not going to say like having time to do it, because I do have time to do it. It's more of like just being motivated to do it, like really wanting to play a game and record and stuff like that. I actually did record somewhat of a gaming thing, and I uploaded it on my Patreon page. So I put content on there that I don't upload to my regular channel, because I'm just like, I don't really want to put this on my main channel, but I'll put it on my Patreon page for the people who are signed up on there to watch. So you can go over to my Patreon page or just put one gaming video. It's very short. If you don't want to be a patron, that's fine too. I will be making more gaming videos, but my channel is just like really varied content, so I'm having to decide whether I want to make a separate gaming channel or a separate beauty channel, or just keep it all in one channel. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think I should make separate channels for the different kinds of content, or should I just keep everything on one channel? Which would be easier for me, but then sometimes people are like, I didn't sign up for this type of video, I'm unsubscribing. It's like, look people, I'm not a one-trick pony, I'm going to make a lot of different types of videos. So let me know if you guys want me to have like a separate channel for all of these different types of videos, or if you're okay with me putting them on one channel and you won't get mad and unsubscribe because you're not interested in something. But anyways, do you feel bipolar has given you insight about the mind-brain? For example, that thoughts, feelings are dependent on brain chemicals. Yes, definitely. Whenever I heard, the whole like key phrase, oh, depression is a chemical imbalance, I didn't really understand it until I experienced how you might get depressed or manic for, I'm not gonna say like no reason, but it is definitely something that's not in your control. It's definitely like a physiological thing. Like, you can be doing all these great things, you can have a great life or whatever, and still get depressed because of a biochemical issue. And yeah, and then also being really surprised at how well medications can help with that. And that's kind of an indicator that it is chemicals in your brain, because then you take in certain other chemicals and then it interacts with the chemicals in your brain to balance or correct any sort of issue. I guess balance is a really good word, because there's some sort of imbalance in the chemicals that's makes you feel and think abnormally. So it's really interesting how especially antipsychotics work. When I first had to take that, I was just very, very intrigued. I was very surprised at how a little pill could calm paranoid thoughts, so it's really interesting. It's like, what chemicals are responsible for paranoia? It's really interesting. What has been the hardest thing about being bipolar? Have you experienced any of this stigma? I haven't really experienced it, because I don't really pay attention. I haven't experienced it from other people in real life, because I haven't really paid attention to it that much. Most of the stigma is kind of internalized stigma against myself, and shame and stuff like that, which isn't severe. I'm just kind of bits and pieces of it, just because in our society it's kind of it's talked bad about and it's looked down upon, and it's kind of this thing people are scared of, and it's you're a leper or something. If you have a mental illness, people associate mental illness with negativity and you're a bad person or something, which couldn't be farther from the truth. It's really, I say this a lot, but it's really no different from a physical illness. Say you have say you have diabetes, your body's not producing insulin, so you have to inject it. Say you have depression, your brain is not producing enough serotonin, so you have to take Prozac. you know, it's the same type of deal. But as far as the hardest thing about being bipolar, stigma is definitely not the hardest part if you were trying to like get to that, because it's mostly just like, you know, kind of questioning myself and stuff like that because of how society views mental disorders and how there's a lot of ignorance around it, around the subject. So anyways, I mean, stigma is a hard thing about it, but I would say the hardest thing is actually the symptoms and, you know, having to take medication every day, which so many people in the world have to take medication every day for something. Especially as you get older, you need to start taking medications for certain things. Unfortunately, not everyone, but a lot of people. You know, it's just kind of an inconvenience. You know, I wish that I wouldn't have to remember to take something every day. But I am very thankful that there is medicine to treat it, but it is kind of a drag to have to take it, or else something bad will happen, like I'll be really irritable and or depressed or manic, or any number of bad things that could happen if I didn't take it. So I think that's the hardest thing, is like having to take something or else something bad will happen. And I don't want to make that scare anyone away from taking medication, because I prefer myself on medication than myself not on medication. It's just kind of annoying. But it's not as bad as if I had diabetes and I had to inject myself with insulin every day. I don't know how they do it. Like, those people are the strongest people, stronger than me, in my opinion, just because I hate needles and I don't want to inject myself with anything. Next question. What are your favorite books, or what kind of books do you like to read? I like all kinds of books, really. I like science fiction books a lot, and I like kind of like slice of life types of books, like, you know, real types of books, like based on real situations and stuff, that are like, you know, quirky in some way. You know, I like Harry Potter and the occasional fantasy book, but mostly I like books that are like real and gritty and examine what it's like to be a human. And then on that line of thinking, I really like biographies and autobiographies and nonfiction and psychology books. Not really psychology books, but I don't know, books that delve into the human experience, I guess. And I'll just keep it at that instead of naming off a whole bunch of books. But because I could start naming off a whole bunch of books and then we'd be here forever. But yeah, I like books that don't necessarily have to be based on real life, but examine some sort of part of humanity, whether it's a weakness, like a dystopian situation, or just like a slice of life, like this happened in someone's life. Which some people might find boring, but I find it like really interesting. Just in general, how are you doing with your bipolar disorder? Is everything steady and in check? You seem to be doing well. I'd say relatively speaking, I'm doing well. Like when I read my hospital records in my last video or something, or video before last, when I read my hospital records, I was like, wow, like relatively speaking, I'm doing really well right now. So I think I'm just gonna be thankful for that and not try and like overanalyze, like, oh, well, I could be, you know, I could not have bipolar and that would probably be better. But I'm definitely, I would say I'm steady and in check. You know, I've been pretty steady and in check since, you know, 6 months after getting treatment. So I've been pretty good. Alright, next question. What makes you the happiest in life? And thank you for sharing. What makes me the happiest in life? This is a loaded question, I think. There are a lot of things that make me happy in life. Children. I guess. Children make me happy. Yeah, I'm just going to say that. Children. Children being happy and laughing, and children who don't have any problems, and children who are very happy-go-lucky. You know, it's really good to see how pure it is to be a child, and, you know, how they're not damaged by the world yet. Hopefully never, but, you know, we live in a kind of shitty place because there are a lot of terrible, stupid people out there, and, you know, I just don't even want to go there. But innocent children make me very happy. So seeing people I love happy, I think that makes me happy. If you personally felt the need to own a gun for self-defense, why should or shouldn't you be able to own one? If I actually did feel like I needed one for self-defense, then I should be able to own one, because it's been many years since my hospitalization, and I don't really agree with denying gun ownership to just someone who has like a history of mental illness. I think that's dumb. I think on the piece of paper that you have to fill out, you should have to put your medical conditions that you do have, and how long ago you were hospitalized. I don't know. I feel like there should be like an interview process to get a gun, and like a job interview, there should be a gun interview. And then, if you had, not been hospitalized for, like me, it's been like, 3, almost 4 years or something, and I'm on medication and I take it like I'm supposed to, a therapist could tell the person selling it that I was totally lucid and fine to have personal protection. Luckily, I feel safe enough that I don't need one, but I do have other types of weapons, which I won't talk about. I think I should be allowed to, and I think anyone who has a history of mental illness, but it's been in control for many years, and you're taking medication like you're supposed to, and I think there should be an interview process, and if you pass the interview, then you're good to go. But I don't think anyone needs like an assault rifle. If I ever got anything, it'd just be like a little revolver or a little handgun to have for my protection. What is the meaning of life? I would say the meaning of life is to discover new things, and I hate the word like learn. People are turned off by learn, but I would say like discover new things and have new insights. I feel like that's a good meaning of life. Even if you're, going through terrible situation, or even if your life is like super amazing, like no matter who you are, like I feel like we're all getting something from discovering things, whether it's a new location, a new idea, a new band, or a new song, or a new flower, or a new planet, all these things. I think the meaning of life is discovery, especially for humans. I don't know what my cat would say the meaning of life is, probably, relaxing in the sun or something. Yeah, I would say discovering things is the meaning of life. There's always something new to discover, so it is true. No matter how boring your life is, the next day you wake up, there might be something new that you've learned or experienced or perceived or thought. So anyway, do you think a man should sit back and let the woman initiate sex, or what are your feelings about a man just waiting for the wife or girlfriend to initiate relations and months go by and nothing? I don't think this is a gender thing. I think this is specific to your relationship. In a relationship that I've experienced, I was always the one initiating sex and they never did. So at one point I was like, well, I guess, this is fucked up. I'm always the one initiating it. So I decided to not initiate it, and, they just weren't the type of person to initiate it, so nothing happened. So, I don't really know all the answers to relationship problems, but, I'm not the expert on relationships, but just know that it's not a man sitting back and waiting for a woman to initiate things. It's just whoever has the higher sex drive, and sometimes that's the girl, sometimes that's the guy. Sometimes the girl will have a high libido and the guy doesn't, or the girl will be really attracted to the guy and the guy's not. I'm going into personal issues right now, but I'm just, sometimes it's a mutual attraction sex drive, and sometimes it's kind of not in balance, and I don't really know the answer to that. I think it's on a case-by-case basis, go with what your heart tells you. If you're feeling like the person, is asexual or has a low sex drive, then there's that. But then if you feel like they don't find you attractive, or they don't want to be intimate or something with you, then that's a reason to maybe end that relationship. Okay, next question. Have you ever experienced lethargy as a symptom of depression? So yeah, like being really tired. That's one of the main symptoms of my depression, and it's probably a main symptom of a lot of people's depression, is feeling really tired and you don't want to get out of bed, because when you're weighed down with negative thoughts, it just really makes you not want to do anything. So you're going to be really lethargic. So I think that's one of the main symptoms of depression for sure for most people. Okay, so I didn't really have any more questions. I got through all the questions that I have so far. I know I'll probably get a few more, so I'm sorry about that, but I feel like this is probably pretty long. So thank you so much to the people who sent questions, and I hope you really liked this video, even if you didn't ask one. I hope you liked this video. Feel free to ask questions in the comments. It might trigger an idea for a video by itself. Please check out my social media below. Oh, and lastly, I wanted to give a shout out to a few of my patrons. Someone wanted me to shout out their Facebook page, facebook.com/thebipolarcure. So I recommend you check that out. Also, his YouTube channel, I'll leave a link in the description. And I just wanted to give a shout out to some of my patrons, such as Greg, I'm not going to say your last name, but Greg and Leonard and Patrick and Orion and Tyler and Kevin and John, and that is it. So thank you to those patrons and all of my patrons. I have more patrons, but I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. Go to my Patreon page. It's patreon.com/rawsammy. And if you donate $1, there's other content you can see on there. If you donate $5, I'll list your name at the end of my videos on the inside. And if you donate $10, I'll give you a shout out in a video, or your business or blog or Facebook page or whatever. Yeah, Patreon is a website not just for YouTubers, also for other content creators, such as, you know, people who draw, like artists and comics, and people who do podcasts. Anyway, it's a really cool website. So I know there are other YouTubers who have Patreon pages and other types of artists and stuff like that. It just really helps when you're not really getting any other kind of revenue from the content you're creating. Look at this little light ball. Anyways, so I will talk to you guys in my next video, and have a really awesome day. Okay, bye!